You know those girls that always look clean? Their skin is always
This is my hot girl guide on how to look clean and fresh at all times. For me, slicked back hair always was the trick. The best way to achieve this is to have
Wait, what actually is a clean girl? The clean girl aesthetic emerged as an internet trend that was popularized on TikTok by largely upper to middle class white women in 2022.
My personal beauty philosophy, I think, has really leaned into this less is more approach.
Followers of the clean girl aesthetic attribute their look to Hailey Bieber and Bella Hadid, with their slick back buns, gold jewelry, glossy lips, and well-fitting basics in neutral colors.
This is Put a Finger Down Clean Girl edition. The more fingers that you have down, the more clean girl aesthetic that you are. Your go-to hairstyle is either a slick back or a bouncy blowout. You tend to wear neutral colors. You wear a more dewy makeup base. You prefer dainty minimalist jewelry. You journal at least once a week. You regularly do either yoga, Pilates, or hot girl walks. You have a neutral color nails right now, like a bubble bath, baby pink, white, or French tips. You own a pair of over-the-ear headphones. You have a self-care routine, and you own multiple loungewear and activewear sets. How many did you put down? Because if you got all 10, you're literally the clean girl.
But like, the slick back buns, the gold jewelry, the glossy lips, isn't that like what so many women of color wear? Oh yeah, absolutely. Like a lot of popular fashion trends, it's just white people appropriating the aesthetics of black and brown youth. Oh, ew. Also, can we talk about the name? Why are they clean girls? Like, what's clean when you're like discussing fashion? Is it ethically produced fashion, or is it just like washing your clothes? Well, it's definitely no crust bump, and it's not just washing your clothes or showering. In fact, the clean girl aesthetic has nothing to do with quote-unquote being clean. It's about looking clean.
If you don't know, clean girl aesthetic is not like how clean you are, it's basically you look clean.
Despite this though, clean girls do have an emphasis on skincare, which seems to be part of the reason why this aesthetic has its name. And like most trends that start on TikTok, it's just another form of hyperconsumerism that focuses not just on clothes and makeup, but especially on skincare. And like so many consumerist trends I've seen on TikTok, the clean girl aesthetic looks more like a marketing firm's dream than an actual subculture, with long-hour morning routines and nighttime routines and multi-step skincare routines with expensive products that just seem to keep climbing higher and higher in price.
Well, that just seems a bit inaccessible to say the least.
Oh yeah, absolutely. At minimum, you can critique it for being classist. Just because you can't afford to spend hundreds of dollars on perishable goods like skincare and makeup doesn't mean you're not clean. And as someone that's disabled, my experience watching these videos, the routines alone leave me feeling exhausted. Like, what do you mean you have a 3-hour nighttime routine? What do you mean you have a 3-hour morning routine? That's 6 hours every day. Do you not have a job? Do you not go to school? When do you actually go to sleep? Like, how is this sustainable for you? If you're familiar with spoon theory, I would never have enough spoons to do all that. Most people with disabilities wouldn't have the spoons to do all that. It really makes the word clean feel more malicious, especially because if you're not a clean girl, which is framed as this aspirational thing that needs to be achieved, then you have to be dirty, which is a concept that carries a lot of associated shame. Side note, it's really rude that this trend, because of its name and emphasis on skincare, is implicitly calling things like acne, which are more up to genetics than hygiene, dirty. Anyway, the John Wesley quote, "Cleanliness is next to godliness." Considering the context of the trend being largely taken up by white women, I think it's appropriate to analyze the term clean through a Western lens and how it's a concept that's been weaponized against people of color and disabled folk. John Wesley was a Christian theologian, and Western Christianity obviously has a dicey relationship with a lot of people of color due to the nature of Christianity being used as a tool during periods of Western imperial expansion, usually done in variations of destroying and banning indigenous religious and cultural practices, and associating them with being dirty, unholy, or even unclean. I mean, especially in American Christianity, with the Mormon church not letting black people enter the temple or even be Mormon for the majority of its existence, because they believed that black people were black because they were the descendants of Cain and carried a curse. So essentially believing that people of color exist because their bodies are stained from sin. And that's where like a lot of racist and prejudiced beliefs that people of color face, be it colorism or racism, have managed to like build their foundations.
I don't want to be a rapper. I want to be...
So seeing a look so strongly associated with women of color suddenly becoming acceptable when white women do it can raise a lot of negative feelings in people of color, which is seen in the reaction against this trend.
The clean girl aesthetic should be called, I bullied women of color for this look and then copied and pasted on a white girl and called it trendy. Aesthetic.
When we slicked back our hair with oils, people would say,
"You should let your hair down. Caitlin, my mom is going to kill me if I come home with tangles in my hair."
Honey. Close your eyes and let the word paint 1,000 pictures. One good.
Hi, I wanted to talk a little bit about the clean girl aesthetic as a black individual who grew up in predominantly white schools. When I was growing up, that aesthetic, okay, we're talking lip gloss, big earrings, and having your hair slicked back. If you were a black person at my school or a person of color, having that look was considered, I know it's not PC, I don't like to use this term, ghetto. And I think it's really weird now that trend that was so heavily negatively associated with black people is now super trendy and in. It gives me cognitive dissonance. I think it gives a lot of people a lot of feelings because you have a lot of pent up internal racial oppression where you're like, oh, do I look too black today? Like, you go and look in the mirror and make sure that you don't look like a certain type of black person because you would get treated poorly. It's not even like you would just get treated poorly.
Overall, I'm not calling skincare, slick back hair, or gold hoops, or lip gloss inherently bad or inherently appropriative to wear. But I am saying it is important to acknowledge and understand the implicit things being said by a trend's name and who you see actually participating in it and how they do so.